All right. Hello there. I'm going to go live here for a minute or two to give some people a chance to come on. I'm streaming this on Facebook as well as YouTube, and hopefully if the internet goes down with one of them, the other one will keep going. I have had some problems either with the router or the connection here lately, where just occasionally it'll just go offline for a moment and come back on, so hopefully that won't happen here, but if it does, we'll try to get it back up and going as soon as we can. So I'm hoping to keep this to a less than an hour for sure tonight. There is just a couple of things I want to go over and give some updates. I haven't done a live stream since 2017. I couldn't believe it. And I've only done one before, but I just cannot believe it's been that long. But as I'm going along through this, if you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and drop them and I'll get to them later on. But we're going to go over basically general discussion, what's been going on with my guiding, and some problems that I've been having, some changes that I'm going to implement to correct that, some of those problems. Also an update on what I'm going to be working on here in the future, and then we'll do some question and answer at the end. Looks like I got a fair number of people starting to join on 3 different streams here, so it looks like I'm gaining around about 30 or so, so I guess I'll go ahead and sort of get started from here. Some of the stuff that you all may already know, some may not. So I've been guiding since 2014, and it started off kind of slow, but it's really been gaining some traction, especially last year and this year, and kind of outgrown my capability to a degree or another. I started in underneath Scenic City Fishing Charters in Chattanooga, which if you're all not familiar with that, I'll leave a link down there, but it's a combination of guides that do all kinds of different tactics and species. Richard Sims was the original captain that started Scenic City back in 2006, and then Sam Simons joined him sometime thereafter, and he's been there for quite a while. I came on board, I think it was in 2014 to some degree or another. Maybe it was more or less official in 15. And then Ben Hayes, Joe Jellison, Chris Peters, Scott Lilly. So I have quite an assortment, and a couple of bass guides that do nothing more than target bass, very accomplished bass anglers. Sam Simons, Joe Jellison, both real good anglers, do a lot of multi-species. Scott Lilly, trout and cold water pretty much. He's just came on board. You definitely want to go check him out, because he fishes for the deep clear water lakes, some of the prettiest area around that we've got around here. So just kind of backing up a little bit to some statistics. This year, of course, this year's been kind of interesting because of all the different stuff going on. But to date this year, I've managed to get in, I think, about 25 trips or so. I could be wrong on that number, but the month of March and April pretty much got wiped out with the whole coronavirus deal going on. And But all those that canceled, most of them wanted to reschedule, and so everything kind of got piled up again. I think last year was definitely my best year. I ended up doing about 40% more than the year before, and I want to say there was somewhere, I'm not sure, 50 to 60 some odd days that I was out guiding. There might have been more than that, maybe less. Haven't really kept a good count on it, but on average, it's been, I guess if you average it all out, it's been about 2 a week or so. I do work for a commercial roofing company. I got out of the project management that I had done for quite some time. It really just didn't, it's very difficult to schedule working that along with guiding. So now I do just estimating, and that allows me a lot more freedom. I kind of work my own schedule there, can schedule stuff around. It's worked out real well for last year, which was one of the reasons I was able to do so many more trips than I typically have. But with that comes some growing pains, and so if some of you don't know this, but where I'm living currently is in Morristown, Tennessee, which is about 45 minutes, give or take, east of Knoxville. And when I started this with Scenic City, I was down, Scenic City's based out of the Chattanooga area, and all my guiding has been based out of the Chattanooga area, covering Guntersville, Nickajack, Chickamauga, and some on Watts Bar. But the lakes that I really got to know and understand and really appreciate were the ones in the Chattanooga area. And back when my work kept me with TVA and I was down in that area for a couple of years, that's when I really started to grow that. Well, I'm not doing that anymore now. I'm based up here at my home here in Morristown. And so a typical trip, especially this time of year in the heat, we're getting out there at about daybreak, which is somewhere between 6 to 6:30. And depending on where I'm guiding at, if I go all the way down to Nickajack Dam fishing Guntersville Reservoir, I got to figure conservatively for about a 3-hour drive each direction. So, as you can imagine, that creates a lot of fatigue when you have a full day out in the sun and then you're tacking on 6 hours of driving. If I'm guiding up on Chickamauga, it's a little over 2 each direction. A little bit better, but still, at the same time, when you've been out there all day, the last thing you feel like doing really is driving back. So, I guess where I'm going with all of that is, I'll just give you a case in point example here, and this kind of really hit me. This past weekend I did a trip. It was a afternoon trip focusing down below Nickajack Dam. I wanted to get flatheads specifically. It was a half-day trip. We're to meet up at about 4 p.m. So I knew right then, hey, I need to be on the road at 1 o'clock. Well, it's also in the afternoon going through Knoxville, Chattanooga. I was like, well, I really need to be on the road probably at least 30 minutes prior to that. So decided, well, I'll go to a Sunday service for that. Long story short, I was on the road from about 9 in the morning, got down there, right about on time, I think it was. They were running a little bit behind. Time we guided, ended up, a boat broke down on the water, ended up towing him in. Our trip ran over just a little bit. Long story short, I get home and in bed. By the time I drive back, put the boat away, put bait up, go shower and everything else, I'm in bed at about 2:15 in the morning, and I have to work the next day. That kind of wiped me out for, I think it took me about 2 days to get kind of over that. And So, looking back on it, I was like, well, I love fishing, definitely. I love guiding, but that wore me out, and I wasn't what I needed to be at work the next day. Just felt like coming home after that, sleeping all the next. Just kind of a problem. So that's kind of changed. Now that I'm up here, I'm not down there anymore. I have to kind of manage my time. Some other changes that have kind of occurred, as most of you know. When I first started guiding, I remember back when I started this around Chattanooga, there were only a couple of guides down in the area. Of course, there was Richard and Sam, but they were kind of multi-species. Catfish, they guided for catfish, but that wasn't solely what they did. And then I knew, there was Mike Mitchell down in Alabama. There was Jason Bridges down on Wheeler. Phil King way down there. There were some guides up toward Knoxville that did a combination of striper and catfish, but it's a pretty open market, and I cannot get over in the last 2 years how many are starting to do this. And it's like about everybody I know now guides, seems like, and that's all fine and good, but there's definitely a lot more competition. I get some that have been with other guides, and I'm sure some that have been with me have gone with others. But the blessing, I guess, to it all is I'm still getting more than I need. I've been turning down a lot of requests, especially lately. And it seems like everyone's really anxious after all this lockdown and everything else to get out and do something. So, but I'm going to be a little bit limited. Some of you may also know that I don't guide on Saturdays anymore, since I started trying to keep the Sabbath. I do not guide on Saturdays, and I think that's been pretty clear. I know I've updated my hours and days and stuff like that, but and to be perfectly honest with you, from all other standpoints aside, I do not miss being out there on the water on Saturdays when everybody else is out there and boats are going this way and that way and whatever. I don't miss that a bit. So, all that said, here are some changes that we're going to be making from here on out. With that time constraint in mind, half-day trips, I'm not going to be doing any more half-day trips. So, I'm offering full days or nothing. It's all or nothing. It is not worth, for me, financially, what I'm getting out of a half day from what I got to subtract for fuel expenses. I can't go down and guide for a half day, come back, and then do something else the rest of the day. It doesn't work. I blow the whole day regardless. So if I'm going to blow the entire day regardless, I'd rather be out there and do a full day guide trip, make it worth my while, spend some extra time on the water doing what I love to do. So I've already went ahead and updated on the website, and I think about everywhere else that half days are not going to be in the picture anymore. So that's a pretty easy one, but I also know that that's going to affect quite a few people, because I've done quite a few different half-day trips this year, and it's just what I have to do. So if you're all looking for something for a half day, I really suggest calling up Richard with Scenic City, talking with him and one of the other guides that might be available. They live close by. It's a whole lot easier for them to do a half day trip. I think everything's going to be okay from my end. I'm going to lose a few, but really, I've got a lot of regular clientele that have been calling. Sometimes they can't book out way in advance knowing, and I think it might give them a chance to rebook with me again instead of having my schedule filled up with half-day trips. I got a few more half-days to do that I'm definitely going to honor those, but I won't be booking any more half-day trips. Another thing that really hit me on Sunday evening was the fact that night trips wipe me out for 2 days. Time I get back, definitely it's going to take the day going down there before, or at least a half a day, and I'm going to lose a half a day at least the other direction. I got to sleep in there somewhere, so we're not going to be doing any night trips. The only exception to that's going to be if somebody books a 2-day trip. We can, do a combination, get on the water, come off in the afternoon, go back on at night, get off, come back the next day, whatever. If I have a 2-day trip and I'm already staying down in the Chattanooga area or nearby wherever I happen to be guiding, we can do nights. I've got one of those, I think I've got 2 trips coming up like that in the next couple months here that we're going to be working that way, but not going to be doing any night trips. So pretty much what's going to happen is booking 8 hours, 8 hours plus, start at daybreak. It's easy for me to get up at 3 or 4 in the morning and drive when I've slept than to do it in reverse and be tired and try to drive back late and get to bed. So let's see. One other thing, this is kind of going to lead into some of what's going on here in the future, is during the summertime, I'm going to be cutting back a little bit, kind of limiting what I do during the summer. I really don't think for the months of June, July, and August, and that's what I mean by the summer, June, July, and August, I probably will not be scheduling more than about 2 trips a month. Period. And part of that has to do with just some other priorities in life. I want to be able to spend more time with my wife and kids, and right now when I'm not working, I've been guiding, and it's been just kind of wipes you out after a while. And I wouldn't say I'm burnt out or anything like that, definitely not, but I do need to put some effort into some other things. I'm really hoping with being able to do that, kind of scale back a little bit in the summer, it gives a chance for go see my folks in Arizona, or have my dad come out possibly, be able to spend some time doing that. My wife and I going on some trips, going on some hikes, just doing some other things. She hasn't even been fishing with me in almost a year here, and we finally had our opportunity here a couple of weeks ago to get out, and then I ended up having, of all days, I had a truck problem with a spark plug going bad, and ended up having to turn around and come home. Well, it's like, now when are we going to get a chance again? Probably end of September at this point. So I'm trying to think what I was going to say in regards to all of that. Oh, yeah, just, limiting the summers brings me into, okay, so the schedule for this year, and just today I've had 6 different requests come in. Had to respond to all of those. Right now, I am not going to have any availability for any trips unless I get a cancellation until the middle of September. I am taking off August and half of September. We're going to be gone. We're going to take the airplane, fly out to Wyoming, Montana, do some of that first part of September for a couple weeks there. August, that falls into, it's a hot time of the year, and I need a month to kind of get everything back together. So, as most of you know that have been with me, I guide out of about an 18-foot center console Bayhawk. I have a 115 Suzuki on the back, and I've had that boat since I think 2015, and it has been a great boat. Has its limitations, though. A little bit cramped on size if I have 3 or more people. I do not have a large live well to put large catfish in. So when you see pictures of us with catfish, that's what we caught right then. I can't stick them in the live well, be able to get a photo of 3 or 4 monster fish all together. Kind of got to do it as we come, as they come into the boat. And it's not the most stable, and what I mean by that is, if everybody gets off to one side, it lacks a little bit of stability. And I've had it for the last couple of years, really thinking about upgrading to something a little bit more comfortable. And I have been in contact here recently with a boat manufacturer trying to get something set up, and it's been dragging now for a long time, and I got to make a commitment on something here one way or the other. So part of why I need to take off August, I moved all my trips out, canceled them or rescheduled them, is if I don't have a boat deal come through, I've got to take some time during the month of August, and I've got to completely redo my floor. It's been starting to get a little spongy, weak. I've got one area in it I gotta really watch for. It's just time. It's had a lot of hard use here, and that's going to be a major project, taking the console, controls, everything out of the whole thing, redoing the entire floor. And I'm not going to skimp and do something halfway. If I'm already in there, I'm going to go ahead and get it done. So that's the plan for August, if a boat deal doesn't come through before then. But in either case, if it does come through, I'm still going to take August and get caught up on some other stuff. Also going to be making some changes here in my videos. For those that follow the channel, my philosophy with my YouTube channel has been up to this point more of a curiosity factor. The whole idea was to get people interested enough, seeing what we're catching, what we're doing, interested enough to book a trip and come out. I have not focused a whole lot on the educational, informational side of my channel at all, really. It's like, you could watch my videos, and for the most part, it might even be hard to tell what bait I'm using, what technique I'm using, any of that. And when you're guiding, that is kind of like your business secret, so to speak. And I feel I have a niche in some of that stuff. I do not try to compare to other guides. There are some other guides out there that I would say are probably a whole lot better than me. I just try to do the best I can, honor the Lord with what I'm doing, and it'll be what it'll be. Some people might like coming with me, some may never come back again, but that's not up to me. I just do the best that I can. See what kind of trips that the Lord brings in. So far, it's been really good. And when I made the decision last fall to no longer guide on Saturdays, I thought that was going to be like, oh, that's the end. But actually, it's been quite the opposite. Most people really don't want to get out there on Saturdays either. I've had a few that really want to, but most of them want to avoid the craziness on Saturday anyway. So anyway, so what I'm going to do from this point on is I'm really hoping to take the channel that, now that I've got kind of the clientele established, and I think some people are going to, even if they know all the stuff and exactly how I do it, they're still going to book, because it's a whole lot easier to just pay somebody to take you out and have a good time that's been on the fish than it is to own a boat, go to all the effort to upkeep a boat. And there's quite a few I have that are in that situation. So I may start slowly kind of branching out in my videos into a little bit more information. Probably not going to focus a whole lot on where I'm at locations and all that kind of stuff, just because I've been burnt really bad by that here in the last couple of years. And it's not so much that I think, oh, this spot's mine or whatever, but there have been a couple of days I've gotten out and it's just crowded over with people in areas. And when you're with clients and you're trying to, give them a good time to catch some fish, it's kind of nice to have just a little bit of space out there. And but all that being said, I think I can definitely branch out a little bit in my channel, do a little bit more informational, a little bit more start to finish of the trip, instead of just a video coming in, hey, right when we're catching the fish, kind of giving you the idea of what the entire experience has been like throughout the day. I got to make a couple of changes with all that, and it has to do with batteries and some of that kind of stuff, but I think it'll be good. And I've really kind of scaled back videos here in the last couple of years because I've had the trips that I need to do. But I get a lot of questions about hey, how come you don't really share anything? And I've tried to tell people, well, that's not the point of my channel, which is probably why to this date, I've had my YouTube channel going for a long time, and it's only as big as it is because for the most part, people are really looking for information out there. A lot of people want to try it themselves. They're looking to learn. YouTube University, right? And so some channels I think have done a whole lot better that are a whole lot younger than I have, and they put a lot more time and effort into making videos, editing videos. I don't have quite that much time, but I think I can definitely work on putting together some videos that have a little bit more content to them. I don't know how you all feel about that. If you have some input on what you'd like to see or whatever, yeah, please let me know. But that's kind of what I've been getting some feedback on here for some time. So with all that said, let's see here. I think that kind of covered what I wanted to go over. So just to kind of sum it all up, I'll be going to just full days only. Gonna be no night trips. Summers are gonna be for June, July, and August are gonna be very limited. June 2 is also the spawn, and right now we're in the peak of the spawn right now, and big fish are kind of hard to come by. We're still doing okay on numbers and such. Eventually they'll pick up back here in July again, but I really want to focus on spring and fall, which, spring's my flathead time, fall's kind of trophy blues. Trophy flatheads in the spring, trophy blues in the fall. I like the weather that time of year, especially fall. And that's kind of where, hey, you want to come out and really have a good trip. That's what we need to do. We need to focus on the spring or focus on the fall. The heat of the summer, if you can even make it 8 hours out there, you've earned your stripes trying to catch fish, and it's been that way on the last couple of trips. So that's kind of it. We'll see how this boat situation comes through, whether it works out or not. I'm kind of hoping it does, but it's been slow, and if it doesn't, then I need to take some time and do a major overhaul on my existing boat, and hopefully get that up and going for the fall. And I think it'll be a whole lot better. We're gonna make some changes on it. I'm really hoping, though. I really don't want to do that. I'd rather just get a new boat and kind of be done with it for a long time, but I don't know, we'll see what happens. So I have a few questions coming in, and if you all have anything, go ahead and ask them. I need to catch up on some of this. It looks like my dad's online, and if you all haven't seen my post, my dad started a YouTube channel as well called Fishing with Dad, and just type that into the search bar up there and find him. I think he is approaching 700 or 100 subscribers right now, and really trying to get past that mark. So if you're interested, go check out his YouTube channel. He's in Arizona, and so his fishing focuses on stuff in Arizona, and he does a lot of multi-species stuff, and I'm really trying to branch out, so I'm sure he would appreciate the support. Bob, good seeing you too. Let's see. Okay, yes, I am still, my sponsors, I am still with B&M. They still sponsor me for rods, and I still sell rods. This year's been a little bit tough because of the supply impacts, and right now I've been completely sold out of rods. I don't know when we're going to get them back in. I'm told like maybe the middle of June here they might come in, but when they do, I think I got about 20 that need sold already that I have back ordered. So yes, I'm still with them, still with Team Catfish. They've been really good to me. They're also having some supply impacts. So ironically enough, I haven't been able to get any reels from them for a while because they have been completely out. And I had a reel go overboard, and then I had another reel that I did some experimenting with by taking off the level wind, and then I didn't like it. I can't figure out what I did with the parts, so I can't put it back together. So I've actually went out there and I got a Cat Max reel, which is very similar to it, and then I just went recently and got one of the new Zebco reels, Big Cat XT reels, and I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of impressed with it right now. It's been out on a few trips, had a couple of fish in the mid-30s with it right now. Haven't gotten to try it out on anything real monstrous, but hopefully that's gonna turn around. I'll let you all know. That's been a good little reel. I haven't really seen anybody using that reel yet, but I'm sure somebody out there has. But good price point, around $60, and metal. Very, very smooth. The drag is in a position that you don't knock it on and off accidentally. So I like that. So yeah, I'm still with B&M, still with Team Catfish. Those are my two big ones, really. Really haven't gotten into a whole lot of other sponsorships. I've had some different offers, but on some different things, but just, you know, I want to do, if I get into something, I want to be able to support it wholeheartedly. Don't feel like it's necessarily limiting either party, and I just haven't had a need for anything else right now. Now, once I get in, if I happen to land the boat deal, that might change a little bit of that. But for right now, yeah, that's pretty much it. Hey, Steve, good to see you. Been a long time. Fishing is, well, it's the spawn. Still doing really good, though, as far as numbers go. Most trips, there's been, the average still has been about 20 to 35 fish per trip. And I think some of that's a little bit just my particular technique of doing it. But big fish, now, something really interesting this year is, so far, knock on wood, to date, every single trip that I've been out on have managed to land at least one, but usually more than one trophy fish. And that's 34 inches or bigger on every trip. And so we're knock on wood, hopefully we can keep that up here until the spawn's out of the way and the real big fish start showing up again. But it has been a tough year on several fronts. Besides all the politics and all the crazy